Each Sunday night, I'd watch the practice with none of my friends. I'd turn the dial to ABC to see the creep of the week that Bobby Donald defends. But I'm out of practice.
With your host, Keith Varney.
Out of practice.
And day after Christmas, Mike Indeglio.
Way back in high school, most every night, my mom watched QVC, so I missed the practice. There was no TiVo, what could I do? Wait 15 years, get fat, then stream it on Hulu. Out of practice.
Did your Santa come? It's not even showing up. Stockings, Christmas, candy.
Out of practice.
Christmas is over, and I guess that's the best we could possibly have.
Out of practice.
And welcome to the Out of Practice Podcast, a weekly podcast that talks about David E. Kelley's award-winning series, The Practice. But today we have a crossover. We are not doing The Practice. We are doing David E. Kelley's sister show, Boston Public, which we are doing a crossover with our heroes, continuing the story from last week. It is the day after Christmas. It is 48 hours before I am moving to my first new house with my wife. And you'd think that would be a great opportunity to take a week off of the Out of Practice podcast.
It was
Maybe
discussed.
drop in a little, happy holidays message and then go on with our lives like all other sane podcasts do. But no, we are coming up on our 2-year anniversary of doing this silly podcast. And we have never once missed a week giving you a full episode of our nonsense. And we're not going to start now. How are things, Mike?
They're good, and I don't know if maybe you just didn't know this, but
Yeah.
this crossover episode marks the 100th episode of Oops.
Does it? I have it marked for next week.
Hold on, let me check.
Am I wrong? Hold on,
I
I'm
could be
gonna
wrong.
check-
I've often been
I'm
wrong.
gonna
I've
check-
often been wrong.
The official, I think you're counting the theme song that
I
we
am.
dropped in.
I am counting that.
So, yes.
So you're right.
This is episode number 99 of Oops. Next episode, which will be Awakenings,
Okay,
will be our official 100th full episode.
I think that's fair because we don't count the theme song, and the crossover shouldn't be 100, so it all works out, and we both get to be right.
Yes, that's true. We're all right in our own hearts. How was your holiday?
It was good.
What did you do?
We stayed home. We are going to maybe do a drive-by present drop-off to my sister and brother tomorrow, but we stayed home ourselves. We woke up. We got drunk very quickly, which I think is a highlight. And we proceeded to do a little gifty exchange. There wasn't a lot to do. Obviously, we moved this year. You know the feeling. There's not a lot of spare money to go around, so it was more of a little tiny gift exchange. We then watched Wonder Woman, which I'll give a solid meh. And then we watched Pixar's Soul. Now, spoiler alert, I love all Pixar movies, except for I thought Cars was meh, and I didn't particularly care for the latest one, which was called Onward, something word.
Upward, up.
Onward I thought was kind of okay. I didn't really
Okay.
like it. But long story short, Soul, Keith, is about, in so many ways, us. Literally us. People like us, people pursuing the arts, people pursuing any dream. It is wonderful on so many levels. It's metaphysical, which is something they don't usually touch on. It is based in like a hard truth that you don't learn until you've lived a life. It's very good. That's all I'll say. And then that's about it. I will say that a friend of mine this week who was way too young to leave us, passed away with COVID, and so that sort of
Oh, jeez, I'm sorry.
sort of focused the perspective of a lot of things. That things are still
hmm
serious, and that we should be really, really grateful and appreciative for our health and for all of the blessings we have. So, or just fortune, however you want to look at it. So that's kind of how it was. How are you guys doing? I know you're probably living amongst the boxes, and I can tell you I empathize. So
No, we truly are, and I think we both did, and I think it is sort of relevant to what you said. Continuing to take COVID seriously. Yes, I know there is a vaccine coming. That's great, but it's really scary. It's really grim. We have both lost people close to us, and I think that is probably true of most of us out there. And it's exhausting. It's been going on for almost a year, and it becomes numbing when we're in April, we're like, oh my God, 10,000 cases, 30,000 cases a day. And we're dropping 250,000 cases a day. And we're like, eh. And just because we're bored of it doesn't mean it's not true. It doesn't mean it's not happening. It doesn't mean that we're not having days where we're losing an entire 9/11's worth of people every day.
Yeah.
And and I know the holidays, it's so fraught. Everybody has competing interests. Everybody has competing levels of seriousness that they're taking this. But we stayed here. It was just the two of us. We Zoomed with both of our families, which I thought was really lovely, and it was great. And that was sort of the plan. Partially because of COVID, but also partially because we're moving in 48 hours. I will here if you're watching on the YouTube, you'll notice I'm today in a courtroom, and the reason for that is we are so far into the packing process that my wall of narcissism is down behind me, so it's now just a hideous green wall with some packing bubbles behind it. So I'm classing it up here with a courtroom.
Are you guys going the manual move route since it's not too far, or did you get movers?
No, we did not get movers. Both, like you said, to save some dollars, and also, just trying to limit the 10,000 people we're going to come in contact with throughout this closing and moving process. So I'm a little scared of that, to be perfectly honest, mainly because I'm 40 and my back's a little fucked up and I've got a little hernia, and it's just the two of us moving all of our shit.
Yeah, when you were 25, moving yourself was easy because you didn't have anything.
Nothing.
And
nothing. Yeah.
All you needed was a U-Haul. But things have changed. I will
yeah.
say.
So we've got the U-Haul, but we're going to load and unload on different days to try to slow it down. So we're going to load on Monday and then unload starting on Tuesday.
What are you going to do Monday night?
And if something goes haywire, what's that?
What are you going to do Monday night?
Monday night, we have like an air mattress, and we're just going to make it work on the floor. That's what we're going to do. So
are you on Wi-Fi?
No, I don't know if I am not on Wi-Fi. You're a little out of sync. You stuttered for a second.
Yeah.
And then you were behind.
Huh.
Oh, well, interesting. I don't think it's me.
Well,
whatever.
It doesn't matter. It'll all match up in the end because I will make it.
You'll make it work. And yeah, and so Phoenix, I will do a pre-buttal. It's the day after Christmas. I know we're out of sync. We don't get paid.
No, that is
true. Right.
Hold on. I have to throw one more thing out there.
Okay.
The day before actual Christmas, or the day after now, the day before, I got a email from the company I work for. And they were like, your timesheet's been unsubmitted, which I assumed meant rejected. And so I texted my manager and I said, why did you reject my timesheet? She said I didn't. So I talked to HR and they say, well, we decided now. Now, mind you, I've worked with this company for 7 years. I've been part-time for the past 4. Plus we have been acquired. So anyway, long story short, they say, oh, we just decided that you don't qualify for holiday pay anymore. that's our determination. We've been thinking about it for a while, and so Keith, I was supposed to have Christmas Eve, Christmas, and then all of next week paid off. And they told me the day before Christmas they weren't giving me any of that. So
fuck you.
So I had to take a last minute side hustle, working for this Total Brain Health, they're called, just doing a project, a late minute project for them. I was up till 4:00 in the morning, Christmas Eve. I was up till 4:00 in the morning the day of Christmas, just to finish this project. And then I raised enough hell that I was able to get holiday pay, or I just put in for vacation pay because I raised enough hell. But still, it's just further. So Jen also took a shift on Christmas Eve as a waitress. She made it more money on one day as a waitress than she has in her entire career as an actress. So that was good. So we did get smiled upon. There was a point to this story, and I've forgotten it now. Oh, damn.
Well, the point is you had a full-on Griswold Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Like because we watched Christmas
Jelly of the
Vacation
month?
where he gets screwed by the bonus with the boss at the exact same yeah, exactly. So that's what we did. Yeah. So I feel you. That sucks. They suck. The official point of view of the Out of Practice podcast is they suck.
Yes.
So let us move forward because it is the day after Christmas. I have to still pack some shit. So we are going to hop back into the time machine already. We're going to skip filings and subpoenas because we didn't have any, because you all have a life. Unlike us, you have a life. You're doing things. We'll catch up next week. So we are hopping back into the time machine to the date of February 12th, the year 2001. Now, if you're keeping track at home, because who isn't, last episode that we did of the practice actually took place the day before on that Sunday night, but because we are doing a crossover event between the practice and Boston Public on consecutive nights, as opposed to consecutive hours, which they had last crossover, which was really interesting, but consecutive nights. So we are only going forward one day, but that does not get us off the hook to answer the question, what was going on
This day in the basement.
Well, you'll recall I was auditioning for that show. I did get it, as you know, since I spoiled the ending of that play.
Brian?
But my girlfriend and I broke up, and this was when that happened.
Oh, shit.
Around now. Now we will go, as most early relationships do, we will go through probably almost a year of like that in-between zone where we're broken up, but like, and that will go on for a while. But yeah, it turns out the ending of the story is we're still friends to this day, so that it is nice. But she broke up with me, and she was pretty blunt about it. I recall she said, "You won't. I know I'm gonna want. I'm gonna want more, and you're not." Basically, it was like you're not gonna end up being enough. Now that being said, she knew that at that point I was leaning towards going into being an actor, and that's a world she knew because she left that business. And as an adult now, I appreciate someone recognizing that, look, that's not a lifestyle I want to hitch my wagon to.
Mm-hmm.
But damn, when you're 19 years old, that cuts deep.
Well, and at 19, you don't realize how much like a lifestyle or a life matters in these situations. Like, you're not really clocking that, we don't have to want the same thing for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
It's you start like, oh wait, no, there's other things going on. It's not just hooking up for a summer. So she was a little early on that, but it's like having the discussion about kids. Mm-hmm. Once we are old enough, as my wife and I, like on the first date, we discussed it, because like, why waste time if you both have diametrically opposed feelings about that? It's not a bad idea to get that hammered down earlier.
Though for some, like myself, and it took me many years to figure this out, confusing sex and lifelong love was very easy to do at 19 years old. You don't realize that they're not intrinsically linked necessarily.
Well, yes, there are different, let's say, opinion sources that they become more and less important as you get older. Oh, all right. So you were breaking up.
That's a different podcast, buddy. which
Yeah,
we actually
should
would
really
be
do
pretty
that
qualified
someday.
to do. That would be a good. We could do that podcast also. Let's move forward. How about you, man?
Podcast about a certain type of frustration. Yes. All right. Especially around 19. Good Lord.
I'm okay if
All
you
right,
say no, darling, but you don't have to say it with such disgust and indifference.
I resent the enthusiasm of your no.
Hypothetically say. I'm just saying that may happen to some.
We didn't need a musical number, okay? There
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
need to be choreography
You
to
wrote
the
a
no.
song?
Did you improvise that or did you plan that ahead of
It
time? Have you
sounds very
notated
well
this?
arranged. The arrangement is very good.
I mean, all the rhymes are perfect.
Yeah.
You've got internal rhymes. Like,
Did you
what's
hire
going
the Polish National Symphonic? Did you have to spend our money on this?
At least you didn't hire live instrumentalists. At least you recorded it. Oh,
There were so
Anyway.
that was really for our own amusement. Let's go.
that
Last
that
week
truly
was
yeah,
2
that
hours and
little,
30
little
minutes.
inside joke. Oh my God! Right? Yeah. Well, we're gonna get to the Polish Symphony Orchestra at some point.
Shortly.
Probably before the end of the practice, we will actually get to the fated meeting of the two of us, singing to a MIDI disc track across the
You
country.
guys,
All right.
The video I have. Oh, I can't wait.
I lost the video. I don't have the video anymore.
I
was going to try to find some of it for your birthday, but I couldn't find it on YouTube because it was up there for a while. It got taken down. The DVD I had somewhere. I thought I had it on my computer.
I'm
Could
going
not
to
find it.
supercut the living shit out of it. So
No, you are not. I will quit this podcast right here and now. I get cut approval because there's some moments there I
That's
feel like
fair.
the world doesn't need to know.
that's fair, but trust me, I'm the one dressed up as a 14-year-old boy, so I feel like there's plenty to go around, buddy.
And I look like somebody who'd be like a predator to 14-year-old boys running around with the violin. So let's be honest. Anyway, I killed Mike. So in my basement that day, as I should probably close my email because otherwise I'm going to be, it wasn't even open. Right, blah, blah, blah,
Keith
blah, blah.
is
Anyway.
popular.
Keith gets a lot of junk mail.
So
Keith
yeah, so
ordered
everybody
a
doesn't have an uncle from
absurd amount
Nigeria
of
that
IKEA.
needs me to deposit 3.5 million and keep my own share. What?
I mean, I could really use that. Let's be honest. Anyway, so I was getting a promotion, if you'd believe it, in at the dining center, the Aramark Dining Center that I had worked at for a good almost 2.5 years at this point. I was duly promoted to student manager, which was the top of the pyramid for a student, and became in charge of the entire place for my shifts, which was very odd because considering that most of the people under me were adults and I was a child. And for all of this responsibility, I had keys to the place, I had to open it up, I had this, that, all of these things. I was paid the princely sum of an additional 50 cents an hour, which got me all the way up to just under $7 an hour to work at this dining center. Although what they did do is they gave me, and this was a terrible idea for an aspiring man of girth, was they gave me carte blanche with the food. So I didn't have to have a meal plan, which was great because that actually saved me a lot of money and made the money worth it. But I did have keys and I could just eat whatever I wanted whenever I wanted. And that was a poor idea.
And it's exactly
So
what you did, probably.
Oh my God, I ate so much. And it was that was kind of a big deal. I definitely felt like a big deal there at the dining center.
You're like Oprah. You get a free meal. You get a free meal.
No, just like, I get some fries, and I get some fries, and I get some more fries. And I get a pie.
2 pies.
2 pies. Yeah, that's what I did.
All right, well, I got dumped and Keith got fatter.
Okay.
So there you go.
It's time.
What?
I said, so I got dumped and Keith got fatter. There you go.
I got pre-dumped. I was helping build up some rejection for later.
It's time for the Out of Practice Podcast's This Day in the World. The greatest hits, the biggest movies, headlines from Vermont, essential sports updates, and for some inexplicable reason, the weather from 20 years ago. Now back to Keith and Mike.
Okay, we are of course talking about February.
Now here's a logo.
What the hell? Oh, here we go.
What the hell was that?
It was they had a little intro. It was very annoying. Anyway, so we are still in the week of February 11th, but now we're into Monday. The top song continued to be Miss Jackson, and here I am adding yet another bad
Miss Jackson.
a cappella version of a song. The top movie continued to be Hannibal, of course. And the Burlington Free Press cover said Napster decision due today. And now, if you remember Napster, you're old. But I know Mike does. And it was eventually shut down just a few months later on July 11th, 2001 was the end of Napster, which was the last time it was sort of over-the-counter theft of property. Now, after that, it was just under-the-counter and even easier. So, there you go. Thank you very much, Miss Jackson Outcast cover. And now
It's time for Sportsball.
the Bruins and the Flyers were off that night, so to watch the crossover. But the Flyers would beat the Islanders on the 14th, 3-1 off goals from Rick Tocchet, Mark Recchi, and Simone Gagne. After a fight-filled blowout over Tampa, the Bruins laid a wet fart against Florida, losing 2-1 at the National Car Renters Center. But Bill Guerin did put in his 30th goal on the power play. I was not ready to say all those words. Not at all. All right, here we go.
I'm a human being, God damn it! My life has value, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
It's time to talk about the damn episode.
Okay, folks, we are not talking about the practice. No, indeed, we are talking about Boston Public because some of our heroes from the practice will be appearing on Boston Public. Now, if you aren't aware of it, we talked about it a little bit last week, but Boston Public is David E. Kelly's show about a public high school in Boston, in the same area as our heroes, of course. And we met before this a teacher who had been fired for not turning in another teacher who was sleeping with a student, and he hired Ellenor and Jimmy to represent him so as not to be fired. Now, this episode of Boston Public, it is only the 13th episode of Boston Public, period. And it was written, of course, by David E. Kelly, who at this point was writing 2, possibly 3 shows at the same time, cocaine. And here it is. That's unsubstantiated. I have no reason to believe that other than the fact that he was able to successfully write 3 television programs at the same time. This episode was directed by Jonathan Pontel. Now, he has directed 1 episode of The Practice before. And would you believe that 1 episode of The Practice was Sex, Lies, and Monkeys, which we consider, at least thus far, to be the worst episode of The Practice ever by a healthy margin. So we're going to find out today, was that his fault? Or was that the writing of the show's fault? To be determined. All right, we have only one thing to do before we watch the darn episode, and that is...
What is that supposed to mean?
What's your problem?
Is this what happens to women when you insert your penis?
What?
What?
What does Mike think's gonna happen?
You know, what if he would have drank the curdled milk? Then what would have happened?
I don't know anything about Boston Public. All I know is that I paid very little attention to the Boston Public subplot last week because shit was blowing up, quite literally.
It was.
So rather than a big swing, I'm going to demur and take a little swing and tell us something. I can guarantee something.
No, this is season 5. Big swing, sir.
I can guarantee you Jimmy will be judgy. Somebody will be massa chewing the scenery. And Ellenor is going to go into labor like her friend Lindsay.
Oh, all right, good. Big swing.
Yeah.
It's season 5.
I don't know that she's going to have the baby. I think she's going to go into labor and possibly have complications because if I'm not mistaken, she ends up on Gideon's Crossing.
Ooh, okay. All right. That's a big swing.
I think Ellenor's going to live in crossover universe for a while.
I mean, I hope she got paid extra for doing 72 episodes this season on 3 different shows. All right. Well, it is now time for you to hop over to your podcasting service of choice if you are not already there and listen to a very bad recorded off of the air in 2001, clearly onto a VHS, which was then digitized with an early video capture card. Terrible copy.
Actually, this was clearly recorded on a
Boston
TiVo
Public
because there's a TiVo overlay a few times that appear on screen.
Oh, is there?
Yes. I will say that
crazy.
You are absolutely joining us for listening to the episode because you can't get it anywhere.
No, you really can't. I mean, we did, but not in more of a Napstery way than a Hulu-y way.
You know, a guy knows a guy who knew a guy who fell off the back of it.
Yeah, it fell off a truck. It's not like we have a folder in our share folder called "Fell Off a Truck."
No. Also, the analytics tell us that nobody uses the QR code, but there it is. Just so that I have extra 10 minutes of work. I'll put it up there anyway. Much like the rest of the podcast. It's totally unnecessary, but it's there.
Completely
see you,
unnecessary.
Otherwise, we'll see you in a couple seconds for the oopsies.
Woo. Yeah.
And we are back, baby. Wipe that Vaseline from your eyes. Because, yeah.
Hold on. I'm gonna get centered.
The resolution's back.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, boy, that was real rough. Now, we are going to do everybody's favorite segment, but this time the Boston Public edition of
Mike has 30 seconds to remember what just happened on the show.
Oh, this one's gonna suck, because I gotta tell you, I'm not sure. We were back in court for the same case we started last week. The guy slept with the student, but the parents are like mildly okay with it now, even though it didn't seem like it. And the friend didn't tell anybody, and then back and forth happens. The Goober and the other guy fight a lot. Jimmy says 3 things, and guess what? We lose. And the teacher goes away, and Fievel goes west, and Rashida Jones is like, you're a little pervy for me. And then we see the credits.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair description of it. And now it is time for our surprise, because during the episode we got...
Your Honor, that verdict was crap. The truth was concealed, it must be revealed, and now it's appealed.
A live appeal. Just what we deserve.
A live appeal from our good friend and moderator, Phoenix Cage, who wrote in to say, while we did this, first, let me say, I love Boston Public. I watched it during its original run and again just a few years ago. But before now, I was oblivious to the practice and had no idea there was a crossover. As far as I knew, Cameron Manheim was just a day player. Seeing this episode gave that storyline a bit more depth. But coming from the practice, you only get the tip of the iceberg. You should at least watch Boston Public 112 to get a bigger picture before you watch 113. I did, Phoenix. For example, one important detail that you misstated, Keith, was that Milton Buttle was sleeping with one of his students. That was not the case. Not only was She, not his student, but when he met her, he didn't even think that she was in high school. To which I say, wrong, Phoenix. If you are an employee of the high school that student goes to, she is your student, whether she's in your class or not, by my definition. And to be fair, I was raised by 2 public school teachers. Ha, boom, 1. 2, and he continues, not only was she not his student, but when he met her, he didn't even think he was in high school. He didn't think she was even in high school. They met elsewhere, and he was led to believe that she was a student at Harvard. They bonded over their mutual love of literature and started a romantic relationship. And to which I say, sure, at that point, if he did not know that she was a student, nor a student at his school, and thought that, fine, I'm with him at that point. Sure, I understand, no problem. However, what he did once he found out is all covered in episodes 111 and 112. If you only watch 113, all you see is the fallout. So even that situation is not as black and white as you made it sound, which makes his friend being fired for not outing him even more of an overreaction. Given that you can't compare it to reporting child abuse. Not only was she an adult and not his student, she was also the aggressor. The real issue is that as a student at his high school, the relationship would almost certainly spill over into the school. His coworkers would have been authority figures over her and her friends. Okay, well, I disagree. I think, I understand where he's coming from up until the instant he finds out that she is a high school student and a high school student at his school, regardless of whether she was technically 18 or not. The instant he knew that she was a student at his high school and he continued the relationship a half of a second beyond that, he is 100% in the wrong. And any teacher who knew about that should report that immediately, because it's an abuse of power, regardless of whether or not she was technically in his class or not, in my opinion. He continues, his coworkers would have been authority figures over her and her friends. It would be very messy, and the policy against any teacher dating any student is a good one. But as stupid as it was for Milton to continue the relationship once he realized she went to Winslow, it was not child abuse. It was not technically child abuse because she was 18, but in my opinion, still a egregious abuse of power. Anyway, so what his friend did. So what his friend did was not like failing to report child abuse. However, he lied to his boss, and that is, I lost myself. So he lied to his boss about the school issue. I take honesty very seriously, so in Harper's place, I'd give him his first and last warning. Next time I'd fire him. But knowing what I know, because I watched the previous episode, Kevin Riley was only given Milton a day to end the relationship. His lie was not a cover-up, it was a delay, although he did technically say he covered it up in this episode. Had Milton not followed through, I fully believe Kevin would have been in that office volunteering the truth. Even Milton believed that his friend would report him, because it actually did make him tell Lisa Greer that it was over for good, which he did in the previous episode, and then continued the relationship once they got caught. So she may have been able to convince him otherwise despite his intentions, but there was no reflection on Kevin Riley. Okay, I gave you enough shit, and now I've got to give you some credit. The Anthony Held bumper was impeccable. Well done, sir. It's a shame that it will only be played on this and possibly next episode, but even still, at least it wasn't a big of a waste of time as your sports ball segment. Fair enough. All right, Phoenix. The discussion continues, but I definitely see some of the points you made. I hold to my viewpoint. So there. And now, go ahead. I just talked for like 45 minutes.
I would just say I agree with Phoenix that Keith's righteousness to make everything black and white. I understand there is a bit more nuance here. I guess what confuses me more is that, especially in the case of the person who delayed, cover up seems a little bit more aggressive than it was. My question is, I still think bringing in your own personal lawyer is weird. Like, this is why you have a teachers union. This seems like a perfect time for the teachers union to step in and and either stand by him or like what is the exact policy of the school? If it was a consenting adult relationship, like there has to be in the bylaws. If it was just an opinion of the principals that they wanted to just fire him unilaterally, which it seems like it was, it seems like there's a lot more fight he has. He seemed, you know what I mean, than just to accept this result.
Well, and Ellenor's point in her close was about due process. But in this case, I don't think anybody was arguing what happened, but merely, so there wasn't really much of a process because they weren't like uncovering what had happened. It was like, you know, is what we already know a fireable offense or not?
Hold on.
What the process
I'm going to see if real quick, this is going to be really difficult to do, but I'm going to call my brother who is a principal of a school, Nick, and he picked up. I don't know if I can get you on mic. I'm going to try.
Yeah, do it.
So Nick, you're a principal of a school. This is true?
Last time I checked, unless you know something I don't.
So I'm going to just give you a scenario real quick. And I just want to know your gut instinct and how this would go down, okay?
And you were live on the air, by the way.
You should know you're live on the podcast. So just know that this is something that is a conversation that is going to be public.
Okay. Is this this is the Boston Legal Podcast.
Well, eventually. Out of practice, yes.
Out of practice.
Okay, you're a principal of a school, and it comes to your attention that one of your teachers has been...
I get to sleep with James Spader.
No, you do not. Well, maybe. That different episode, not this particular episode.
Okay.
So you find out that now this is a high school, okay?
Okay.
You find out that a teacher at your school is sleeping with a student who's 18 years old.
Correct.
Okay. First of all, is that a fireable offense?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now, you find out that a colleague of his that also teaches in your school knew about the relationship and failed to bring it to anyone's attention, failed to act and to let you know that he knew his friend was sleeping with a student.
Also a fireable offense.
Okay, that's it.
Not just a fireable offense, a prosecutable offense, because not only, let's do the first situation first. Doesn't matter what the student's age is. If they are a student, a teacher is in a position of power, which gives them undue influence over the student. So age has no bearing on this situation. So they would be not only fired, but they would be prosecuted and definitely would do some jail time. As far as the teacher who knew and didn't report, equally as culpable, although it's a lesser offense, but they would likely also do jail time. But both would be fired, lose their certificates forever, and would both be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
All right. Well, I'll see you tomorrow, and that's all we needed. Keith, thanks you for agreeing with him, and I'll talk to you after the show is wrapped.
I would like a catchy theme song for my daily life at some point too. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Okay, he agrees.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
All right. Well,
I'm so glad you did that. That is the best moment of the podcast
Remember when we say better podcast? It just became that for the one time only.
We became the better podcast. Hold on. You know what? Now we have to do it because we actually deserve it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh God, I can't find the better podcast. Would be able to find the better podcast bumper.
Or not do the jingle jing.
Yeah. Where is it?
I literally can't answer that question. I imagine on the piece of software directly in front of you.
I know. That's
okay.
not.
I guess that'll do.
Well, maybe it's not loaded. Oh, well, you know what? Well, oh wait, here it is. All right, we have to do two. You can do one congratulating yourself on being the better podcast. Here we go.
Okay. I'm so glad I called my brother up. He rarely picks up the phone, but today he did. He probably thought he was getting a Christmas present.
All right, now I have to do one. We finally were the better podcast, but then I couldn't find the bumper for about 45 minutes, but I won my fucking argument with Phoenix. Take that. Woo!
Which I suppose brings us to...
Oh my God.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Out of Practice podcast, in unofficial, unsolicited, unfactual association with David E. Kelly Productions, proudly present...
Oopsie.
The Oopsies! Celebrating excellence in acting good, lawyering good, guesting good, and being Tom Brady. Not to mention This is where we rate the episode and stuff. Now, here are your hosts, Keith and Mike.
What the hell are the oopsies?
Well, Jackie, it is the award show we do at the end of every episode that begins with
Most
Well, even though the judge pretty much announces his prejudice at the end, which was,
prejudice. He was righteous.
Yeah, okay, that being the case. Pretty much him being a parent, that was it. When you find out he has a 17-year-old daughter, you're like, okay, well, we lost this one. If you're Ellenor.
100%.
However, I think it was, how can you not give it to, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to give the close of a lifetime here and really call
Principal
out
Stephen Harper.
Principal Stephen Harper. Yeah. Okay. So he roughs some people up. So does Eugene. So he's got some strong opinions. So does Jimmy. So we're going to let those things slide. And he also shows himself that he could be a member of our firm. He's so damn good. So Principal, that guy is my oopsie award.
Yeah, no, I don't even have to talk. Obviously, it's Principal Stephen Harper for the most valuable lawyer. Next up.
Already famous cause you've been on TV, getting a paycheck. First entry on your IMDb. Way to go, but you're the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor on the episode.
I forget if
it is now full on dark outside and all of my windows are open. So my neighbors are full on watching me do that in this one little spotlight.
We're watching you basically work over your bomb bench because it's dark with just a spotlight on your face and it looks like you're building something nefarious. So
that's true.
So I forget the bylaws here, Keith, but can I say Ellenor Frutt here or Cameron Manheim?
What did we do for Ellie McBeal?
No idea.
I don't either. I have no idea what we did because it really does. Hold on. I have to check.
Okay. My gut tells me we would have thought about it this exact way we're talking about it. That Cameron is the guest star here.
Yes. Hold on. I'm going back. I'm going back into our Instagram feed to see. Oh wait, you know what? I can do it even better because I have our spreadsheet up. All right, season 2 crossover. The inmates. Our best actor was from the show. Best guest. Oh, okay. We split the difference. We had a guest actor. It went to Donna Murphy.
Oh. Okay, well then it's sort of dealer's choice.
We're setting precedent now.
Yeah. I think it makes sense. This was an episode of Boston Public. I think that it should be because Cameron could lose, right?
Right.
But she didn't. She won. So at least in my heart. So I think Cameron Manheim is the best guest actor of this episode. She was excellent in the episode. She always is. That, like you said, there was that sexual chemistry, but also just a great back and forth rapport she had with the principal. And I think that she did what she do. And it's an OOPSY award.
Okay. Yeah, no, I guess you're right. It's fascinating. Cameron is the first person to win 3 different OOPSY awards. Because no person has ever won 3 different categories of OOPSY award before. So I'm with you. Congratulations, Cameron Manheim, on your best guest actor. Which brings us to
you killed your podiatrist or blew the case, but you let a single tear run down your face. You're the best actor on the show.
Well, I think we have a toss up between Dookie.
Dookie.
Massachusetts. In Massachusetts.
Dookie.
Massachusetts.
Dookie.
Massachusetts. Massachusetts.
Massive Dookie.
It's
Dookie. Anthony Held, I truly, profoundly wish that you have listened to the last episodes.
Goober doesn't even sound like Dookie.
That makes no sense at all.
Oh, God damn it. Oh, God. Make sure to clip that because we got to play that again someday. Dookie. I don't even know where that came from in my cerebellum.
Guys, go to YouTube if you want to see Mike truly cry. You might get your best actor today.
My oopsie for Dookie.
You're gonna get your oopsie.
Man, I'm not even hopped up on cold medicine. Anthony Held versus Principal. I'm mad.
Bride.
Yeah.
Principal, I'm mad. So, okay, folks, it's the great matchup of Principal, I'm mad, and Dookie.
Oh, shit.
Who's gonna win?
Now, if I let Dookie win Best Actor, when you Photoshop it for the oopsies, can you refer to his character as Mr. quote-unquote Dookie Goober?
And if we split, it's going to be Principal, I'm mad, and Dookie.
Okay, well, in that case, I'm going to give it to Dookie.
All right. I would definitely normally give it to Dookie, but because I want the Instagram to work out, congratulations, Principal, I'm mad, and Dookie.
For people who don't listen to the episodes, which is many, they will be curious as to what that means.
Wow. All right. Moving forward.
The Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady.
Oh, last week was a gem, folks. It's right here. It's CCH Pounder. Happy birthday, by the way. Today is her birthday when we're recording. And she got to, for her birthday, she got to deliver the baby of Tom Brady. Oh, man. So this week, clearly... Oh, we've already used the Dookie joke in the Instagram, so we don't need to revisit.
We did. No, it's too much Dookie. Too much Dookie.
And it's going to be dark comedy if we make Tom Brady sleep with an underage student or of-age student.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to do that.
Keith, I'm going to really test the bounds of your creativity.
Okay.
And I'm going to make this very general, and let's see where you go with it. This week, the winner of the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady is crossing over Tom Brady.
Ooh, crossing over Tom Brady. Okay.
So just let that marinate and see what you come up with.
I don't know. I feel like there's going to be some sort of like a Delta Burke thing, like Touched by an Angel. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
Should be very, very interesting. So congratulations, crossing over Tom Brady for your Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady. It is now time.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to announce how many spare tires this episode gets.
Yeah, I mean, I might have to take Phoenix's recommendation and watch track down a few more episodes of Boston Public because it appeared, at least in this particular episode, to be a little bit tonally inconsistent, which is why I wonder if it was maybe struggling to find a viewership. Doesn't seem like it quite knows what it is just yet, at least in this one little vertical slice.
Yeah.
I like that Cameron came in and was great. I love that we lent them Cameron because I think she was a great adversary for the team.
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of particularly likable characters that I saw.
That's a very interesting point. Yeah.
And like we said, it seems like this is one of those cases where it seems like they're trying to pose some interesting moral questions to us and a lot of gray area between friendship and what's the right thing to do and a lot of stuff. But we're coming from a show that, generally speaking, is pretty by the letter of the law. And here, as my brother mentioned, as you have mentioned, it seems pretty clear cut, regardless of what you think should be the case or how, how many T's do we cross and I's do we dot. It is pretty literal. He broke the code of conduct and therefore you get fired. It doesn't seem like it was egregious in either way. It seemed like the more interesting character beat was like the airing of grievance between the principal and the vice principal. That was sort of the juicy bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So as an episode, I can't really, it's hard to judge it as a one-off. I don't, in the universe of the Boston Public, but in the universe
judge it as if it were an episode of The Practice.
Yes. I was fairly uninterested. I didn't think the case was that interesting, and it was much less litigating and much more personal stuff, which usually I like, but I don't know these characters, so it rang less true to me. Although it did spawn quite an interesting new podcast for Keith and I about relationships that we will never do because we enjoy being married. So I'm going to give it 6.14 spare tires.
Yeah. Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with the problem with Boston Public, especially early on, and that is the tonal inconsistencies. And it's because of, and this episode really highlights it because it sort of lists all of the crazy things that have happened, all of which would be the craziest thing to happen in a high school in years. All happened within 12 episodes. And the other part about the likability of the characters. And all of these characters have moments that demonstrate likability and other things. And Phoenix, to be fair, I watched the whole series when it aired. So like I actually know all of these characters, and I knew this storyline. It's been a while, but I actually did go back and watch the episode before just to
be fair, you were drunk with power and free food whilst you were watching this from your college promotion.
That's true. I am frequently drunk with power. Obviously, why else do a podcast if not to become drunk with power? But it was, I think that because of the tonality of the show, because it is sometimes so over the top and sort of silly and really horny, oddly horny for a high school show, and amongst the teachers. But also, I watched the episode previous to this where there's this huge storyline about a student who murdered somebody, and in the sort of the gang life, and he's trying to help him there, and it's very dark and intense, and so I found it hard. I really like Chi McBride's character, and I like Dookie very much, and I love their the combination of their two characters. And that for me was the heart of the show that I really cared about the most. And you're right. That was by far the meatiest, best scene in the episode, was the sort of coming together and the honesty and openness of both of those characters, and both coming from a real place and an incredibly well acted place. The fact that our characters came in, like Ellenor and Jimmy, they were kind of props.
Jimmy specifically.
Jimmy, but even Ellenor, Phoenix's point about her not knowing that she wasn't a day player lawyer coming in, I get that. She easily could have been, because it really wasn't Ellenor or Jimmy. It was the lawyers that they hired. And so I don't like Ellenor and Jimmy's taking this case right now with Rebecca fighting for her life. That doesn't feel tonally consistent with the characters, and I don't think they're doing the characters any service by having them out here. She's getting fired up about this thing that doesn't really matter, and she's fighting with the principal. This isn't what Ellenor or Jimmy should be caring about right now. But I get it. It's a crossover. It's sweeps. You got to do it. Fine. Anyway, number of tires. I don't think it was as bad as you did. I'd give it a 6.76. 6.76, 6.14. I don't know why they get applause. You get applause for that rating. Folks,
Dookie,
you have gotten through a loopy episode of the Out of Practice podcast. If you would like to join the discussion, whether or not we are recording, we will literally get you into the show if you email us when we record. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Out of Practice Podcast. You can email us at outofpracticepodcast@gmail.com. You can check out our blog at outofpracticepodcast.blogspot.com. Do us a huge favor. Join the jury, leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcast or any other service. It really helps us find new listeners. This episode of the Out of Practice podcast is brought to you by generous donations by Leanne Wrights, Cloud Lover 69, Jorge Navoa, and Jennifer Matsanova.
If you want to join them, you can do so by clicking the one-time donation or monthly donation. Those links are in the show notes, along with link to the 1982 Tony Awards. Also a link to the weird high school, that story I mentioned about my high school. If you ever need to cross over your favorite podcasts, just let them know any of your favorite podcast hosts are always allowed on our show. And we will refer to them not by their first names, but by Dookie. And go ahead and find your favorite Dookie and shoot it with some laser sounds.
Laser sound.
On behalf of myself, Keith, and all of our listeners, good luck with the move. We'll see you from New Jersey next week.
Yes. Happy holidays, everybody. It's a snowy Christmas morning. Another log goes on the fire. Maxwell's brewing in my childhood coffee pot. Mom sets out a dish while Dad turns on the light. I make my Christmas wish this holy night. Just get me to drunk. Just get me to drunk. It may be morning at home, but in the town of Bethlehem, it's 5 o'clock in the manger. Just get me to drunk. One brother won't shut up, the other won't get out of bed. Grandma's still complaining about what my uncle said. Dad is still reminding us about Mom's affair. I close my eyes and make this Christmas prayer. Just get me to drunk. Just get me to drunk. It may be morning at home, but in the town of Bethlehem, it's 5 o'clock in the manger. Just get me to drunk. It may be eggnog, beer or whiskey, wine will do just fine. Jello shots or Bloody Marys, just make sure it's mine. Nipping Grandpa's Grand Marnier or Amaretto Sour. Everclear or Listerine, I'm calling on your power to just get me to drunk. Just get me to drunk. It may be morning